So I grew up in Oceanside, California. I had both my parents. My dad was more so like a pillar in the community, helping the homeless, and my mom also helped a lot of people as well. And so when they saw us, they thought that our family was like the perfect family. It wasn't behind closed doors. My dad, he struggled with major addictions. And my mom, she had some sicknesses and some elements that were happening in her life that caused her to be unstable mentally and emotionally. So at times, I would see her be very angry towards my sister, in particular when she didn't have like certain medications. And I would see my dad using these particular drugs, and we would try to stop him from doing that. It was very, very painful because I love my dad very much and I love my mom very much. So to see them go through those type of strongholds and those type of things caused me to be unstable. So truancy officers would like come to my house to wonder why I wasn't going to school. Because at that time I was being also bullied and I was struggling academically. So I didn't want to be in the classroom. So I felt like I had no kind of like outlet to go. One day I was walking towards the gym in my neighborhood to go out to go dance, and there was this young man that approached me. And at this time, I was like, you know, he seems like a nice guy. And at that time, I was like, it seemed like he was bringing me light when I was in darkness, but in reality, he was a false light. The next day, he said, I want you to meet me at this house, and we're gonna, go talk and things like that. For the first time in my life, like somebody sees me, somebody acknowledges me in the midst of the darkness that I was experiencing, in the midst of the pain that I was experiencing, seeing two of the people that I love most in my life struggled and battled to overcome their strongholds. That day, I lost my virginity on a bathroom floor, and it was the most horrific experience ever in my life, and it was terrible. He then began to take me into this room where there was like 5 other men in there. And in that room, these men began to tell me to do certain things. They began to sexually abuse me. From that day, my life changed. I ended up getting pregnant. I got into this destructive relationship with this man. I got pregnant twice. I ended up having 2 abortions, and I felt so terrible about that. I was still drinking. I was still practicing other different things. I ended up in a car with these men. We were all like drinking and smoking weed, because that's how it went. You hang out, you smoke from the dawn up, drink from the dawn up to the dawn down. That's how my life was. So we were sitting on the side of this curb, and I saw this car circle around. We heard gunshots coming from the back to the front of the car. The person next to me got shot. The person in the back seat they were targeting got out of the car, and they opened up the doors, and he ran. I got out of the car and went underneath the car, and these people shot and murdered the man right in front of me. And he looked straight at me, and he walked away. That was the grace of God. That was God covering me. And there's been many dangerous situations that I got into where God has protected me and covered me from destructive situations like that. My younger sister would come in and she would tell me, she would say, do you want to go to church with me? Because at this time, my mom, she got very sick from kidney failure. It looks like it was coming close time to her passing away because she couldn't find a transplant for her kidney. She ended up passing away. And so my younger sister, she started going to church and she started really getting involved. And I was like seeing these changes in her. I was seeing a light upon her face. And when I saw that light upon her face, I was like, there's something different about her. In the fall of 2008, I went inside of this service, and the service was teaching a message on surrender and giving your life to Christ. And that day I gave my life to God. And from there, my life has never been the same. I'm very happy to have my husband and my daughter because I didn't think that none of those things were possible. So I didn't even think that I would get married, let alone have a daughter that I would have to be an example to, that I would have to fight to stay out of that lifestyle that I once was living in. Now I no longer have to fight to stay out of it because I accepted God's grace for my life. And when I surrendered my life, that's when God brought my husband and he brought my daughter in. I was attending church, and the sermons that he was teaching was on grace, that his grace abound more than anything. And that's why when Pastor Dudley, he focuses on the grace of God and being saved by grace. And I had to really nail that into my mind. And I always felt like I was in condemnation to my past, or I was in condemnation to my circumstance. But when I saw that the love of Christ, the love of God, what he did on the cross for me, what he did on the cross for us, you don't have to go through trials in order to accept God's grace. You don't have to go through drug addiction in order to accept God's grace. That just so happened to be my testimony, but it doesn't have to be yours. And for anybody watching, if they feel like they're not loved, if they feel like that life hasn't dealt them what they thought it should, I would begin to look at Jesus, begin to look at what he did on the cross, because what he did is far better than what we can ever imagine, far better than what we could ever have in life. The life that he offered me today is far better than I ever could thought it would be. He changed me, he transformed me, and he brought me from darkness into light.